Hi! So this video is all about dystopian fiction and dystopian recommendations, or non-recommendations in one case. But since I seem to talk about it a lot, I keep rolling my eyes every time I edit one of my videos because I talk about it constantly. So I'm thinking if I make one video about it, I'll kind of purge all my dystopia thoughts and be able to make videos that aren't about dystopia. Probably. I still read it a lot, so there'll be elements of it. But yeah, so let's get started. First I'm going to talk about series. The first dystopian series that I read, the first dystopian books that I read were the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I think that those are really good. But for me they didn't hold up to rereading. I enjoyed the experience of reading them the first time around, and they introduced me to the genre, and they have a lot of classic dystopian elements to it. So as much as I enjoyed them, they didn't stand up for me, but they introduced me to a genre that I adore, so I'm really thankful for reading them. The first series is the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. This is really good if you like young adult, and also if you like kids being brainwashed. I love kids being conditioned. I don't know why, it's just my favourite kind of dystopia, is when you get the young ones and you shape them to be what you want. It's totally creepy that I really enjoy that, but I do. I haven't actually read the rest of this series. I was planning on reading The Scorch Trials before the next film came out, but that came out in September, so I didn't do that, did I? I really enjoyed this. I thought that it was really good. I thought that it was really interesting. I like the creation of new kind of monstery animals that they have to defeat, or they have to get past, or they have to just deal with. I really enjoyed this. Next is Oryx and Crake. This is the first book in the MaddAddam trilogy by Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood, I adore, but I just couldn't get into this. I think I'll have to give it another go because I did really enjoy it. I just wasn't quite getting it, you know what I mean? I got to page 47, it's just that this is kind of bordering on weird fiction, and sometimes it's too weird for me. So I will be giving this another go at some point when I have more time to read, but I've got reading lists to be dealing with. But yeah. The next is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I have a video talking about this, I will link that in the description. But I really enjoyed this. I think that if you like the Hunger Games, you'll really enjoy this. But I think that for me, Cassie was a better protagonist than Katniss. I just enjoyed her more. I thought that she was more normal, if that's possible. The last series that I have is The Program by Suzanne Young. This is another young adult dystopia, and it's about teenagers who are dealing with this teenage suicide epidemic, and all kids are on suicide watch, and they have to kind of toe the line of being normal, so that they don't get put into this program by their parents or by their teachers or by other students, other teenagers, their friends, who kind of all watch each other to see if their behaviour is normal or if it's kind of, if they're in danger of committing suicide. It's really interesting. The next book is The Program, which I do have, and I'm planning on reading it soon, so yes, I've heard a lot of good things about the rest of this series, so I'm hoping that it's good. Now on to standalones. The first standalone that I have is The Machine Stops by Ian Forster. This is 56 pages long and it's so good. It was written in 1909, I believe, and it was published with his collected works in 1928, so there's a bit of confusion about that. This is really good. It's all about a mother and son who live in these kind of beehive-like cells. This is how everyone all around the world lives, underground in these cells. But they're all really happy, and they all rely on this machine that they invented, but then it kind of takes over, and it doesn't take over, but their reliance on the machine and their trust in the machine takes over and rules their lives completely. I just find it really interesting, the use of tablets, Skyping, instant messaging, all in 1909. Crazy. I don't know why. It just always blows my mind when I think about it. It is a really thinly veiled metaphor for homosexuality, so don't really hope for too much in regards to dystopia, because it's pretty much about that. The next book is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I didn't like this the first time I read it, and then I tried it again, and it's phenomenal. Brave New World is all about everyone being exactly the same. It's about mass-produced people. It's about just everything good about dystopia is in this. I love it. Children are conditioned, brainwashed. Worlds like Brave New World and We and other ones, they rule by this use of social totalitarianism, which is basically ruling by giving the people what they want. It's so good. Reproduction is restricted, but they give people birth control to promote promiscuity. That's what it is. It's just ruling people by letting them do things, but not letting them do the things that you don't want them to do. Does that make any sense? It would kind of be like if David Cameron got rid of all ice cream, but one day a month we got to have ice cream, and even if you don't eat ice cream, you think, oh, it's ice cream day, and you want ice cream. But do you really want ice cream? I don't eat ice cream, I don't know why I used that. This is really good. Read this. Top notch. I will say, this was published in 1932 and Huxley was kind of an advocate for eugenics. So there are elements of that. It's kind of worrying when you think about it in historical context. So yeah, all about these perfectly produced people, kind of Aryan, you know, kind of, but it's really good and I enjoy it so much. The next book is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Everyone knows what Animal Farm is. I hadn't read it until last year, I think, yeah, last summer, and it was wonderful. It really just blew me away. I was really happy with this. Animal Farm is a story about a farm that is taken over and ruled by the animals within it, and then eventually ruled by the pigs. It's all about Stalin. It's not even thinly veiled. It's pretty obvious, but it's really good. I think there's a really good look at it. You'll read this and then you'll be in love with George Orwell. So yes, that's really good. The next one is 1984 by George Orwell. I really liked this. Similar to Brave New World, there's a lot of classic dystopian elements that are built in this and that are built upon in newer fiction, which I really like, when you see things and you think, oh, that's like in 1984 introduced the concept of Big Brother, which is just constant surveillance and constant control of the state over human lives. It's really interesting. It's something that crops up in a lot of newer dystopias and I just really like it. Also, it's a really good portrayal of relationships in dystopia because there's just this it just disintegrates completely, and I think that that's amazing. Not like that's a really good thing. No one should like each other. It just really shows strained loyalty really well. I think that that's really good, and it's not present. It's not done in the same way in newer dystopias. I think that it's really good. It's really well done in here, and I enjoyed this book a lot. The next one I have is Utopia by Thomas More. This isn't dystopia, but it's utopia. You can see where dystopia comes from. When you look at this, you think, oh, well, that's not the same, is it? I do have a review of this. I will link a review of this in the description, but I think that this is really good if you're studying either utopia or dystopia, because you can see what they're trying to achieve when a dystopian society is created, or it's shaped. Is it shaped? Okay, shaped. Because dystopia is created when utopia is trying to be achieved. Next I have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is outstanding. Everyone knows this pretty much, and it's wonderful. This is a dystopia that focuses on reproduction because it's after some kind of nuclear disaster and women can't procreate properly. Well, a lot of women are infertile, and they create these handmaidens who are fertile women who are given to commanders, and they're moved from house to house, and the commanders have to try and impregnate them, and then the children are given to the commanders' wives to raise. And it's just a really interesting look at reproduction and new generations in dystopia. I think that it's really good because Offred's memories go back to a time before the invention of handmaids, before that role was created, when things were normal. It was published in 1985, so it was really recent, and it just kind of makes it more horrible to imagine, because the world before this disaster was so much like our own. It was completely like our own, and it's very sad all the way through. Offred had a child before the disaster, before she was made into a handmaid, so it's kind of wondering what happened to her husband, what happened to her child, and what will happen to her after, because it's open-ended. The next three that I have are my dissertation texts, which I've talked about before. The first one is The Bees by Lillian Paul. This is about Flora 717. She is a sanitation bee, and she is exceptional because she is a laying worker bee. Worker bees are not supposed to be able to lay eggs. Only the queen is supposed to lay eggs, and that causes drama for Flora because she has to hide her children, she has to hide her pregnancies, as much as a bee can be pregnant. I mean, they pretty much just discover it and then pop, baby. It's really interesting because there's a romantic aspect to it, there's a maternal aspect to it, but she's got stuff to be getting on with because she's got to forage, because she becomes a forager. She nurses children in the nursery, she nurses larvae in the nursery, and she's got stuff to do. She's a busy bee. Ding! Yay! To get, oh, that was so good. I mean, it wasn't good at all, but I would really recommend this if you like The Handmaid's Tale, if you like Brave New World, if you like classic dystopia. This has a lot of them in it. It has a lot of elements of classic dystopia, just in a really innovative way, because they're all bees. Guys, they're all bees. This is from 2014. The next book is We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. This book is amazing. This was from 1920 or 1924? Oh, banned on its publication in Russia in 1921. This book is outstanding. It's really just, oh my god, it's so good. George Orwell says that this is a book to look out for. Can you see that? And we trust George about dystopias, don't we? But this is all about the one state, which is controlled by the benefactor, who is this kind of big brother all-seeing entity. And it's just really interesting. The characters don't have names, they have codes. They all have... do they have roles assigned to them? I can't remember. But they have these pink slips. Just like in Brave New World, where sex is controlled by the state, they're controlled by these pink slips that they kind of just give each other and rip. And social totalitarianism. It's wonderful. Honestly, it's my favourite kind of dystopia, one that's controlled in this very giving way. It's just really good. If you like weak protagonists, D503 is your man, because he's rubbish. He's completely rubbish. He gets manipulated all the time. He just goes along with whatever I330 says because, I don't know. He spends a lot of time looking at her teeth and her eyebrows. Also, if you're interested in the reproductive aspect, he has a child, don't care, just doesn't care. O cares about it, O90, because she wanted a child, but she doesn't fit the maternal norm, she's too short. So I think that's really sad, because it's just, oh, she wanted that baby, she did whatever she could to get that baby, and it was just really... I wanted the story to be about her, because she would have had motivation, she would have probably had a storyline, she would have been able to do something, and I think that D503 is a perfect weak protagonist, because I didn't care about him at all. I was so frustrated with him, but I enjoyed this book so much. The last book that I have to talk to you about is Anthem by Ayn Rand, and I know that Ayn Rand is not the best person. I know. But Anthem is flawless. Anthem is out of this world amazing, and it's only 105 pages long, and I just couldn't think of anything else when I finished it. Anthem is so hard to describe, and I know because I spent the past year trying to describe it adequately. Equality 72521 is the main character, and he's made up of an unspecified amount of people because there is absolutely no individual in this world. Individualism is a concept that has just been completely done away with. The word I is banned. Everyone functions as a we. It kind of Anthem is very much influenced by we. but there is no I. It's just a word that they don't understand, and when he understands it, it's like his world just changes. Equality has desires. He has a desire to learn, he has a desire to experiment, and he invents electricity or reinvents electricity from old notes that they find in the scholars' homes. And it's just amazing. I really cannot speak highly enough of this book. I think that it's outstanding. I think that it's wonderful. There's a little bit of romance in there as well, because apparently we can't do without it, but this is so cute, and they're gonna have babies, and they're gonna raise their babies to know the words I. Oh, isn't that cute? Anthem introduces individualism rather than objectivism. Objectivism is selfish, it's doing exactly what you want regardless of other people. Individualism, as I understand it, is just more accepting that you are your own person and being able to express yourself individually and be able to have your own desires and your own likes and your own thoughts. And that's just what he wants to do. So this is the last book I have to talk to you about. So if you liked this, comment down below, and if you have any more suggestions, if you have any suggestions for me to read, I would be completely in love with you, because I'm always looking for new dystopias, so that would be great. Don't know if this will stop me talking about dystopia though, which was kind of the point. Bye!